Good afternoon and welcome to NHADEC's Lunchtime Connections. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce NHADEC members to one another and give each one the opportunity to tell us a little bit about their business and their capabilities. My name is Stephanie McLaughlin and I will be your host today. I'm the principal of Savoire Faire Marketing Communications, a NHADEC member, and a member of NHADEC's Marketing Committee. The format of today's webinar will be as follows. We have 3 presentations. Each presenter will have approximately 8 minutes to talk about their company. At the end of each presentation, there'll be a little bit of time for Q&A. You can either ask a question of the presenter directly or type your question into the chat panel and I will pose it to them. To ask a question of the presenter directly, please raise your hand using the software interface and I'll call on you. I will be monitoring time and keeping us on track. I may close Q&A if we're running long. And please feel free also to raise your hand or use the chat pane in the software panel if you have any questions for me during the webinar. All right, before we start, one last housekeeping item. As this is lunchtime and I anticipate some of you might be eating lunch during the broadcast, I ask you to please put yourself on mute. All right, moving on to our first presenter. With us today to talk about the NHADEC Strategic Action Plan is Nate Nelson, who is speaking on behalf of the NHADEC Board of Directors today. Nate, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Great, thanks.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. As Stephanie said, my name is Nathaniel Nelson. I'm a board member for NHADEC and an international trade officer with the New Hampshire Office of International Commerce. Today I wanted to provide an overview of a project that my office and NHADEC have partnered on over the past year. Some of you may recall OIC obtained a federal grant via the Department of Defense Office of Economic Adjustment to fund a 5-year strategic planning effort for NHADEC. So my goal today is to highlight for you the background of the project, provide an overview of the strategic plan, and then discuss the plan's implementation. So Stephanie, if you don't mind moving to the next slide. So first let me discuss the background of the strategy. As you know, NHADEC is now about 5 years old. At close to 100 members with an expanded list of programs, projects, and goals, it became evident to the Board of Directors that NHADEC was at a significant turning point. It's a point of transition that if we took advantage of it, it would position NHADEC for success as it continued to grow. So that was the need for the strategic plan. At the project's onset, the board knew that we wanted to focus really on 2 things. First, we wanted to have a strategy that would help lead NHADEC towards long-term financial sustainability. And second, we wanted a strategy that was based significantly on NHADEC member guidance and feedback. So it was really important to the board that the strategy process included an unbiased self-examination of its mission. So as part of the process, we built in significant opportunities for stakeholder engagement. I think the major component of our stakeholder engagement process was a so-called think tank workshop, wherein the group explored the scenario matrix, which you can see on the right-hand side of the slide. The workshop in its matrix sought to explore 4 different scenarios of what we called futures. So what this means is that the group was given scenarios to work through and to determine what the future of NHADEC would look like were it to operate in one of those scenarios or on the chart one of those quadrants. These various futures explored what NHADEC would look like if it expanded its membership and or if it transitioned its operational focus to become more of a sales consortium. Next slide, please. So while examining the futures, stakeholders were also asked to identify their preferred future. So this preferred future was meant to capture where stakeholders would ideally like to see NHADEC move towards through the strategic planning process. As you can see from the heat map on the right, specifically where the circle is, the greatest emphasis and therefore area of focus for the strategic planning process was on regional membership growth while working towards NHADEC being both a promotional and sales consortium. So what does this mean? I think at a high level, as far as geographic scope, the consortium will now look to expand membership efforts to regional, national, and international businesses and organizations. And there will be a continued focus on recruiting industry members within the organization. As far as the balancing act for the operational focus, the consortium will continue its branding and marketing efforts while also working to increase collaborative opportunities and international matchmaking services for the purposes of generating sales for members. Next slide, please. So with the preferred future defined, we then were able to proceed into defining what the pillars of that future would entail. Maybe said another way, what the strategic stakes in the ground would be for NHADEC. As you can see in the chart, the preferred future had 4 key strategic pillars, which inform the details of the strategy and, really more importantly, the strategy's implementation. I'll walk you through each of these pillars so that you understand what we mean by them and what the main goal is. And then on the next slide, I'll provide an idea of what each means for you as NHADEC members. The first pillar is strengthening organizational leadership ability and reputation. The goal and purpose here is to create an industry leader in NHADEC. And one respondent said it really best. They said NHADEC should have a, quote, leadership role in convening the industry. So doing this alone will really help NHADEC succeed across many areas and pillars. The second pillar is expanding membership to encompass a regional scale. As I mentioned earlier, one of the main purposes of the strategic planning process was to help NHADEC achieve financial viability and sustainability. So the goal here is to expand membership to achieve the right size for the consortium in order to be sustainable in the long term. The third pillar is building sales focus and capability. The goal here is to provide new business opportunities and growth for membership through various means. Done correctly, this will be another key way to generate additional revenue for the consortium. The final pillar is strengthening high-quality membership services. The goal here is to find new, complex, and diverse member services that will accommodate needs of varying members. Ultimately, we want to help you succeed, and again, speaking of that financial self-sustainability, we want you coming back for more. So stay tuned for what that will mean. Next slide, please. So now we've understood the goals of the strategic pillars. Each pillar has specific action areas associated with them. So as the NHADEC board moves to implement the strategy, we'll be looking to each of these action areas to help inform our efforts. I just wanted to quickly introduce some example action areas to you on the right side of the chart and cover what each means for you as far as a member impact. For strengthening organizational leadership ability and reputation, the member impact here is that this will build NHADEC's reputation and reach, and by association yours. So for example, NHADEC has recently created the very new Unmanned Systems Committee in an effort to become a key player in this emerging opportunity. By expanding membership to encompass a regional scale, the member impact is that this will increase your collaborative reach and networking opportunities across the regional supply chain. For building the sales focus and capability, this one is one of the 2 areas where members will see the biggest impact, specifically in the areas of sales opportunities. I'm very pleased to say that the implementation committee has already begun working on this area, and NHADEC is adding a sales pipeline service for its members, and we are already working on 2 unique pipelines, one international and one domestic. So definitely keep your eyes and ears open to that as more information comes forward. Finally, for strengthening high-quality membership services, this is the second area where members will realize the biggest impact. This is a broad pillar and broad action areas, but mainly the impact will be in providing you access to programs and services that will increase your visibility, networking opportunities, and technical competencies. So I think in conclusion, what will be the same and what will be different? NHADEC will be the same organization that we all know and love with the same goal of providing valuable services to membership to help you achieve growth. What will also be the same is NHADEC's commitment to its members' voices. Everything here in the strategy was based on member feedback and guidance. What's changing is that NHADEC will be growing in 2 major areas. First, the sales focus and capability. The second is expanding membership. And this will allow us to be more successful as we build our network. The strategy is available for review on the NHADEC website, www.nhadec.com, and we'll continue to provide updates at member meetings. So that's it. Back to you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Nate. Sounds very exciting, and I look forward to being a part of this organization evolving over time. It's some really cool stuff you got.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Joining us today is Sam Young, the marketing manager of Milpower Source. Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm well. I hope you're well. Hope everybody listening is having a great day.
Absolutely. Love to have you tell us a little bit more about Milpower Source today.
Well, that would be great. I'm going to walk through three primary points. One is an overview of the company, a little bit of the product technology with respect to really what our business is based on, and then cover some points where we potentially could work with other NHADEC members in a partnership fashion, just kind of the primary reasons why we're members of NHADEC. So if you would kindly go to the next slide, please. So Milpower Source has been in business for 40 years. We're located in Belmont, New Hampshire, which is close to Laconia, if you're not familiar with us. The company was founded in Belmont, continues to be in Belmont, but we have a global footprint, which I'll get into in a little bit. Our primary business really is power supplies. So if you're familiar with power supplies, power conversion for your laptop, it's essentially the same concept, but our units go into very sophisticated military vehicles, military planes, ships, naval applications, and I'll show you a little bit more about that on the next slide. Our customer base includes direct sales to the various divisions of the military and prime contractors as well. Really prime contractors such as BAE Systems, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and on are our primary customers. With respect to applications, you see on the screen a number of programs that we have components in. We are part of the overall supply chain for these very sophisticated military applications. I'll mention a couple that people may be more familiar with. The Patriot program, for example. The USS Manchester, which was christened in Portsmouth recently. We have products on that naval platform, the Apache program, Predator drones. Very few commercial applications, but if you've ever flown on a 737, our power supply is the unit that actually helps start the engine. So if you've ever flown on a 737, we're on that plane with you. But really the vast majority of our business is focused on the defense industry, as you see represented on the screen. If you go to the next slide, please. So what makes us different with respect to power supply manufacturing? Our hallmark is that we are capable and really focus on customized solutions. We definitely have off-the-shelf solutions, but the vast majority of our business and our relationships with customers involve starting at the design process, determining the specific needs of the application, and designing a power supply that truly fits that application, as opposed to trying to wedge in an off-the-shelf unit. And that's why customers continue to work with us year after year, is we are part of their design and development process and not simply a product supplier, is really how we look at our business. So customizable, configurable, really a key element of our business model. As I mentioned, we are a defense contractor, so everything is certainly qualified to the military standards, AS 9100 and ISO 9001 certified, all of the elements that you need to satisfy the defense marketplace with a product of this nature. So that's a little bit of history with respect to the company, quick run through of our product set. Now I'd like to just, if I could, move to the next slide and chat a little bit on areas where we've worked with other companies, areas where other NHADEC members might want to be introducing conversations where we could work with them. And this screen is representative of a common relationship that we have with companies. As I said, we do sell to prime contractors in the military directly. This is more of an example of working with a prime contractor or an integrator, if you will. So on the left side represents the products that we bring to the table. EMI filters, hold-up units, VPX power supplies. At the end of the day, they're all power conversion products, taking some form of power and converting it into another capability for that application. The right side is the type of relationship that we have with many of our partners. They offer additional products and services that take our units, they will integrate them into it, and then it ultimately ends up in one of those sophisticated applications that I've mentioned before. This is just representative of an enclosure and the type of relationship that we have, but oftentimes our units go into different packages. They're integrated into a full assembly that ends up on an application. So if you're listening to this and trying to figure out, Milpower Source, where do they fit in, this is a common type of relationship that we have with customers, and certainly open to those with other NHADEC members. Another way is mentioned on the next slide, if you would, please. So we do actually have a global footprint. We operate in the United States under the brand name Milpower Source. Throughout other areas of the world, we operate under the brand Enercon Technology, and MPS, and physically located in Europe, Israel, and India. And for offset opportunities, we work with a number of companies in this regard. We're able to offer those services and support your business if you have international needs through the offset model that many defense companies take advantage of. So I'll mention that as another way that we could potentially work with NHADEC members, and would be happy to have those conversations. Not on any of these slides, but I will certainly mention this also. We do work with a number of local manufacturers, be it for machining or board assembly, any type of work that potentially might fit with our business model. We love to work with local companies, and would be very happy to have conversations with any NHADEC members that are interested in those topics as well. So that's a quick overview of Milpower Source, the company located in Belmont, New Hampshire. We like to say the best power supply company that many people haven't heard of. We're working on changing that. And a little history on the products and the ways we'd be very happy to have conversations to potentially work with other NHADEC members. So hopefully that was a benefit to you. Thank you, Stephanie. I'll hand the reins back to you.
Thanks, Sam. That was great. Hey, I have a question, and I'm not sure if this is a little out of left field, but power supplies seems to me to be one of the more stead industries. How do you guys innovate, or what's the sort of evolution or innovation or R&D process for you guys?
Well, you're spot on with that characterization. It is a product set that doesn't necessarily evolve consistently, because when you've got a proven design, as we do, we have a catalog of thousands of products that are proven designs. You go with that because you want to ensure consistent performance and military qualifications. But advances are always necessary, so we do have an R&D team. We have an extensive product roadmap. We're looking out a minimum of 5 years, more often 10 years, to be in match, if you will, with other applications, military applications, in the direction that the defense industry overall is going. So we've recently, as a matter of fact, launched a couple of new product families, MilVPX, obviously Milpower, MilVPX, and MilPDU. Those are a couple of new product families that we've enhanced capabilities on. And candidly, we like to think that they are the best in the industry based on our newer technology and some of the innovative features that we've launched into those product sets. So great question. Thank you.
Fantastic, Sam. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie McLaughlin, and I am the principal of Savoire Faire Marketing Communications. As I thought about what I could share with you today that would be valuable for the broadest number of NHADEC members, I decided to start with this. The digital disruption is a fundamental challenge to traditional ways of doing business caused by the internet and other digital channels. I think most people read this and nod in easy agreement, but not enough business owners and managers have really internalized this truth and the cascading effects it has on how they do business. You see, the issue is this. The way that people research, shop, and make purchases has shifted dramatically thanks to technology advances, no matter what the industry, product, or service. However, by and large, the way businesses market and sell has not evolved to match that new purchase process. B2C companies have done a better job as a group, but B2B companies have largely thought they're immune since they're selling to other businesses or to the government. However, the thing that we need to remember is the experiences we have shopping online in our personal lives don't get left at the door when we go to work. We still expect to be able to find answers to our questions, read about other people's experiences, and see detailed information on the products and services we want to buy. There's good news for exporters. More than 2/3 of English language B2B searches for tech products and services occur outside the US and Canada. 45% come from Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and 22% come from the Asia-Pacific region. Research from a few years ago also found that 97% of the growth in B2B tech queries came from outside North America. So if you're trying to attract or engage an international audience, there's certainly plenty of opportunity. The question is your company positioned to take advantage of those opportunities? In more good news, 90% of B2B researchers use search specifically to research their business purchases. However, 71% of those researchers start with a generic search, which means they're not looking for you, your company, your name, your product, or your service. They're looking for answers. They're looking for solutions to their problem and ways to overcome their challenges. According to Google, B2B researchers do 12 searches on average prior to engaging on a specific brand site. That means it's important for companies to identify how and where they can be part of that conversation throughout their prospect search. What does all this mean for companies trying to compete in today's marketplace? It means that if you've got a website, but you haven't updated it since it went live, you should know that a lot has changed since then, even if that update was only a year or two ago. It means that if you think your website is good enough, I'm telling you that you're surrendering competitive advantages to someone else. And it means that though your pipeline may look good now, waiting until it looks much worse is not the time to start with web and digital marketing. These things take time and they need to build. While the evolution of the web and how we use the web has empowered us all as consumers, it has frustrated and overwhelmed a whole lot of business owners, and I certainly empathize with them. Staying current in a world that's changing so fast is a difficult thing to do, especially if it's not your core area of expertise. However, when it comes to reaching and engaging current customers or prospects, no business has been immune to the rapid evolution of how people research and make purchases. So how can Savoire Faire help? Well, we're a collection of creative and results-oriented marketing professionals with exceptionally high standards for the work we deliver. We're innovative and entrepreneurial, and we are determined to help you make your marketing matter. We support companies through the implementation of strategic and thoughtful marketing programs made up of some or all of the services that you see here. Our goal is to help our clients achieve their business goals. In an ideal situation, we start with discovery and strategy. The discovery process is our opportunity to learn about your business, the history of your marketing endeavors, and the results of those endeavors. It's our chance to learn about your goals and what the marketing program is working to achieve. Much of our work is done on websites. We can rejuvenate a wilting, overgrown, or unattended website, or sometimes we even start from scratch. Digital marketing is certainly a broad term. Effectively marketing online depends largely on what your goals are, as well as your budget and resources. Building an effective strategy is half the battle, but executing and measuring successfully will win the war. Digital marketing can include any or all of the following disciplines: content marketing, inbound marketing, marketing automation, email marketing, social media, and paid advertising. We also find ourselves sometimes executing traditional marketing tactics. Though most of our marketing efforts for clients are focused on and around their digital ecosystem, we still find that traditional marketing services can be useful and effective, especially if they're implemented as part of a strategic plan and integrated with many of the digital things that are also happening. One last thing before I close. I want to encourage NHADEC members to keep an eye out in the next couple of weeks for emails and announcements from Savoire Faire. We are launching a contest that is going to award one New England-based for-profit company with a year's worth of free marketing services that we're valuing at about $75,000. We're putting the finishing touches on that program now, and we'll be announcing it publicly in the next 10 to 14 days. So I hope that some of you will enter that and become eligible to win that great prize. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I appreciate your attention.
So Stephanie, I actually have a quick question for you. That contest sounds awesome and a little overwhelming for some companies that could actually use the marketing expertise. Where would you start to apply for that, I guess?
Well, if you're talking about the contest, we're going to be putting out announcements, social media. Certainly you'll find it on our website, press releases. We'll be running a blog post about it. So certainly you can find all the information you need to enter the contest on our website, or just by keeping an eye on your email, and certainly on the NHADEC website. We'll certainly be posting an announcement there when the time comes. But I think your question had a second part?
Yeah, I did, just because obviously the marketing aspect, and that's something our company could use. Where would you kind of start if someone would approach you to say like a transport? What would be like the steps you would go with the company, I guess?
Yeah, so in an ideal situation, we implement a 3-step process. The first step is our discovery phase, where we research and learn about the company, its competitors, the marketplace, and the business goals are hugely important. And then we create a strategy that's implemented in the next 2 phases. The first part is implemented when we, the phase we call build the machine, and that is where we either build or rebuild, by and large, a digital infrastructure for the company. And then the second part is implemented when we run the machine, and this is where the ongoing marketing program is implemented, and then it's measured and analyzed and adjusted as the data requires. But we find that sometimes companies do get overwhelmed at the thought of the full process. So we're also open to starting with smaller projects with companies, so that they're able, if there's one thing that hurts a lot, they're able to get a sense of sort of who we are and how we work together, and sometimes we also build up to the big picture. So I appreciate the question, Sean. That's a great one, and one I get a lot.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Fingers crossed that we can win your contest.
I hope so as well. All right, folks, thanks so much to all our presenters, as well as our audience and attendees. I sincerely appreciate your time and attention. If you would like to refer to this presentation or share it with someone you think would be interested, the video of today's episode will be posted on YouTube and on the NHADEC blog. And if you were an attendee today and you're interested in being a presenter in an upcoming episode, please send me an email. Thanks so much, and we now return you to your regularly scheduled programs.
Thank you. Please stand by.